Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3Y TV, tonight's broadcast of the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series here on 3Y TV. My name is Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Drew Eisenman. And Drew, great to be back here at the Darlington Raceway for a throwback weekend.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest things that I think that happens in the stock car universe is the throwback weekend at Darlington. The NSRA Truck Series, brought to you by Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, is not an exception to that awesome event that happens. Hopefully, allegedly, once, maybe twice a year in the case of the NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. So, Peter, it's fantastic. We got some cool retro-looking trucks. We got a track that is incredibly challenging just to get around at a relatively quick pace. So I think we got a whole bunch of good things happening here tonight.
Yeah, that is 100% true. And it is going to be a lot of fun here tonight on 3Y TV to get everyone up to speed here tonight. We're just wrapping up on the practice session. Definitely been a very interesting practice session at that here tonight with Andrew Himmelman, fastest in the session. We're jumping over into the pole shootout brought to you by our friends over at Craig's Setup Shop, and we'll get a look at some of these custom schemes here tonight for the throwback race. There is not a throwback scheme right there. That is, of course, Jason Freeman working his way out there onto the racetrack right now. The number 62 of Colin Ullery. He's got a Kyle Petty throwback here tonight. Couple of Kyle Petty throwbacks here tonight. The number 11 right there, Christopher Darling. He's got a Lake Speed Cartoon Network throwback. Definitely a good looker on the number 11 machine. There's another one of the Kyle Petty throwbacks. Mitchell Adam is running here tonight. Of course, Jamar Dumas is running his Pittsburgh Penguins number 28 machine that we're used to seeing. And whoa! Looks like the Ricky Craven throwback, the 07. I'm not sure if that's a Ricky Craven throwback or not, but definitely Ricky Craven ran that scheme for a little bit. There's the number 10, Monty Glover. No throwback on that card. BCF Back Channel Productions machine right there. BCP, excuse me. There is one of the good lookers out there. That's Andrew Himmelman's number 8 machine. Jeff Gordon's Superman throwbacks paint scheme. It's going to be a lot of fun out here tonight as the number 26 machine, the Rusty Wallace throwback, goes top of the board right now.
Yeah, I got to say, I think that 26 truck is probably my favorite that's out there. Just a little partial, a kind of former Rusty fan myself. In the late 90s, early 2000s. Really cool to see the number 26 truck out there. Number 19, the number 41 of Tony Lucarelli. Trying to get a little bit better look at that number 41 truck. I don't believe that's a throwback scheme, fairly modern looking. But hey, number 5 of Ben Adams, we saw that scheme run, I believe, with Dale Jr. and Kyle Larson when he first joined Hendrick Motorsports. So cool to see that old school number 5 scheme on Ben Adams. Truck number 2 of Justin White, representing his normal traditional Simbox colors. Of course, Simbox, a huge part of the NSRA Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, the previous title sponsors. At 17 of Tristan Mayer, the Rebestas scheme. I can't remember who drove that Ray Bestas scheme back in the day. It's so familiar, I just forget who the driver was.
You know what's really funny? I was literally just trying to look that up myself, and not sure why the graphics are going all crazy like they were right there, but maybe that was me trying to look it up. I can't remember who drove the Rebestas Brakes truck back in the day. It just completely, my mind going blank. There's the number 18 NWO machine. That is Kyle Lewis, currently 18th out of the 18 cars that have qualified. There's Dalton Hayes with the number 47 machine of Ron Hornaday throwback in the Sherwin-Williams number 47 truck right there. There's the number 23 of Travis White. No particular paint scheme on his truck. No throwback schemes, that is, as he works his way out onto the racetrack. But James Orello, the number 9 machine, oh man, we were just about to jump to him, but he just dropped off the racetrack. He has jumped up to second on the board here. So things happening thick and fast here at Darlington Raceway. We're going to figure out which of these drivers here tonight going to pick up the Craig Setup Shop Pole Award. And of course, Drew, this is a racetrack very difficult to pass at, but it is a racetrack where some drivers are lightning quick here. Do you think we're going to see a driver attempt tonight the Buttkicker Challenge? Because it's up over $50 now.
I mean, I would have thought that last week we wouldn't have seen it. So, and we did. So, who knows, right? Richmond's a really difficult track to pass at. Darlington, a very difficult track to pass at. It seems like the tracks that we thought would be the easier ones, people didn't take it up, but they've been taking it up at the more difficult tracks. So who knows? I sure hope so. I think it makes for a really good storyline, a really good thing to kind of root for or just see what happens. So I hope so. If I won the pole, I don't think I would do it. And we'll see as qualifying's wrapping up if JT Poole hangs on to this pole, if he will take up that challenge.
Yeah, we will find out, but at least for now, with 22 seconds left, it does look like JT Poole in the number 26 machine will be picking up the Craig Setup Shop Pole Award. Big shout out to JT for picking up. Well, at least no one's out there on the racetrack right now. So big shout out to JT Poole. We'll get a word with him here in a moment and figure out whether or not he is going to do the Buttkicker Challenge here tonight. And it's going to be something very difficult to come all the way from back in the pack here at Darlington Raceway. But let's see if we can figure out where JT is here and see if we can get a quick word with him. There he is. We had a quick word with him last night here on 3Y TV as he finished on the podium, actually, in the Thursday night's GTR Simulator Super Speedway Series here in the National Sim Racing Association. JT Poole, Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Sir.
Well, I'll tell you what. You're going to be starting on the pole here tonight. You are the Craig Setup Shop Pole Award winner here at the Darlington Raceway for the Throwback event. Will we be seeing you participate in the Buttkicker Challenge, and tell us about your lap time?
I am locked into the playoffs. I basically have nothing to lose, so yeah, I'll go ahead and accept the challenge. It's just a possibility at the $55 I think is up for grabs.
All right. Well, what do you think is going to be the key to get back up to the front here tonight? Do you think it's going to take some patience? Do you think you're going to be aggressive early? What's your strategy?
Patience is everything, especially when you got to drive through 27 other cars. So at a track this narrow, you definitely got to, try and work your way through the field without getting any damage and trying to keep that truck clean. And then hopefully by the stage break, we'll be further up in the field, so we can have a good run after that.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to take quite a bit. Hopefully you don't get your butt kicked here tonight participating in that Buttkicker Challenge that everyone has been keeping their eyes on. How much does that bonus prize weigh in to your mind here tonight? You said $55 on the line. That's a pretty decent chunk of change.
Yeah, obviously everyone wants to get some more money, but I think the main thing right now is just I want to have some fun. And I think being able to work my way through the field and not having to worry about losing anything since I'm already locked in the playoffs is really the main reason. But I would still like to get some money.
Well, I'll tell you what, JT, best of luck here tonight. It is going to be a lot of fun watching you work your way from the back of the field, and definitely going to be one of the longer races here tonight. So let me move you back. You were in MaxGrafix Racing, I do believe. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move you back there and put you with your crew so he can participate here tonight, Drew, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching that number 26 battle from the back of the pack.
It certainly is. I think JT is one of the more impressive drivers here in the NSRA State Team Sports Podcast Truck Series. He's fairly young. Obviously a late stage teenager. But it's so impressive when you see these young guys not only have the raw speed. I think a lot of the younger guys in iRacing have the raw speed, but to be able to put it together like JT has at road courses, at short tracks, at places like Bristol, It's just so incredibly impressive. And then here at Darlington, to not only win the pole, but put almost a tenth of a second between he and the rest of the field, and that gap basically exists nowhere else throughout the qualifying efforts that these guys put forward. So a really impressive effort by JT, and absolutely hats off to him for taking up the Buttkicker challenge and starting this thing from the back. It's going to be entertaining, Peter, because we know that 26 has speed.
Yeah, that is definitely right. Now, speaking of money, we're going to have to give away a little bit of money here tonight on 3 Wide TV. We have been picked to choose the Heartbreak of the Race award. Something that's going to be a little bit special here tonight. There's also going to be monies given away to the drivers with the favorite paint scheme, which I don't believe we up here in the 3 Wide TV booth are going to have to pick, but definitely a lot on the line for some of these drivers here tonight. So we'll see which of these drivers get the Heartbreak of the Race award once we finally do go green. We're looking at one of those Kyle Petty schemes. We saw another one out there on the racetrack. Stan Hausman running the Kyle Petty 7-11 throwback scheme. Make that 3 Kyle Petty throwback schemes in the race. Drew, that seems a little bit high. I'm a bit surprised there are 3 Kyle Petty throwback schemes, but sure enough, there are.
I mean, I'm a Kyle Petty fan. I just don't think I necessarily expected 3 Kyle Petty schemes. He is one of the guys, Peter, that I think that maybe didn't live up to his potential quite as much, but while not living up to the potential, did run some fantastic schemes, from his 7-11 scheme, the Petty Motorsports stuff that he drove, that Mellow Yellow scheme. I mean, he had some pretty good looking trucks, I guess cars, but now, as we're seeing tonight, trucks out there.
That is definitely the case. Let's see if we can get rid of the graphic up at the top of the screen for you guys. And there it goes. We got trucks out there lining up. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup. Starting on the pole, JT Poole, who will be dropping to the back and participating in that Buttkicker challenge. Your pole sitter brought to you by Craig's Setup Shop here tonight. James Lorello going to be starting on the outside of row number 1. Ben Izenga, Jeff Price on row number 2. Mitchell Adams, Tristan Maher on row number 3. Andrew Himmelman, Christopher Darling, row number 4. Doug Neal and Jason Freeman rounding out your top 10.
Our Dumas in the number 28 truck will roll off P11. Jason White to his outside. The 62 of Colin Olery rolls off 13th. Evan Gilbert in 14th position. Ben Adams in that throwback number 5 scheme will roll off 15th. Ben Mashburn in 16th, Monty Glover 17th position, the 47 of Dalton Hayes, and I think a McMurray Sherman Williams throwback. Pretty cool, given my former, now retired favorite driver. The number 18 of Kyle Lewis will roll off at 19th, and to his outside, the number 55 of Steven Doziak Jr. will round out our top 20.
In the 21st position here tonight, Robert Dudley with Stan Hausman in one of those Kyle Petty throwbacks starting alongside him. 23rd position here tonight, the number 6 machine of Doug Milliner with Travis White rounding out your top 24. Vincent Valvano, Garrett Gleason, row number 13. Jason Shue and Tony Lucarelli rounding out your top 28. Only 28 starters here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series in the Brookstone Animal Hospital Throwback Race. Big shout out to Brookstone Animal Hospital for sponsoring the Throwback event here this season. It is definitely going to be a good one here on 3 Wide TV here tonight. Let's see if we can get that those sponsor graphics back up for you up at the top of the screen. We are about to go green. 183 laps tonight. Caution flag will be waving at lap number 60 for the one and only stage break. We are green flag at Darlington Raceway, and it looks like Ben Izenga, the 07 machine, sporting the Budweiser throwback. Not sure if that's Ricky Craven. Of course, a couple of drivers drove that car prior to Ricky Craven. Of course, early Hendrick days. And the number 9 machine, James Morello, he's going to have to take a drive-through penalty here, Drew. And the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast number 9 Chevy Silverado going to drop to the tail end of the field here.
Yeah, unfortunate for the number 9, but the way the league handles penalties and stuff like that, he is going to have to take it right. Yeah, I did that number 07 scheme, kind of maybe even a Bill Elliott to Ricky Craven is kind of the range that thing drove, and then in second place, scheme with Mitchell Adams. That Hot Wheels scheme always a really cool deal as we watch that really good looking green 4 there in the simulated light bulb flashes, camera flashes going off there. Turn 1 and 2, not quite as much. There we go. There comes that 07 of Ben Izinga, but Peter, that 07 truck has just had so much speed the last few weeks.
Yeah, Ben Izinga finally finding the groove here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. We have seen him be very, very quick in the Total Nonstop Racing League in his 07 Grand National Series car. But here in the Truck Series, just, I don't know if it's something about the trucks, but just Izinga has not been able to find a whole lot of luck as, ooh, that's the iRacing homepage up there on the screen for you guys. But just finally able to find that groove in his truck here, and currently pacing the field now. His teammate right back behind him, that is the number 9 machine of James Arello. We saw him do that drive-through penalty at the start of the race. He is now currently 1 lap down, needing that Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award here tonight, as he runs right behind his teammate Ben Izinga through turn number 1 and 2, possibly trying to get around Ben Izinga, trying to get his lap back the hard way. Big wiggle out of the Stay Tuned Sports Chevy Silverado out of turn number 2.
Yeah, I mean, not what you really want to see if you're that 07 truck. Hey, the number 9, understand what he is racing for, to not have to take the Lucky Dog, right? Because, yeah, folks, the Lucky Dog does exist, and it's fantastic for those who can and need to take advantage of it. But it does give you an EOL, end of longest line penalty. And speaking of, big wreck on the front stretch, the 20 truck, the 23 truck cartwheeling, barrel rolling down the front stretch. Oh, and almost into outer space does the 23 go, Peter. And that is as many flips as I've ever seen here at Darlington.
And we have to go back and watch that one here. We'll also get a little bit of the gyro cam involved in this one. Coming out of turn number 4, what happened here? The number 20, kind of okay at this point. Does he come down? Oh, no, looks like Evan Burke in the number 19. Not Evan Burke. That is the number 19 of Evan Gilbert. I think might have come up the racetrack into the number 20, and look at the Travis White coming through here. Got to give the gyro cam a good workout. Here we go, full speed. Ooh, upside down once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7, 8, 9 times upside down in the number 23 truck. I think we counted them all there, Drew. But unfortunately, that is some really heavy contact for the number 23 machine. Let's get another look at this one here on the 3-wide TV replays. We're under the first caution flag of the night. Just straight into the number 20 of Jason Freeman. And that is one heck of a tumble. As I like Robert Dudley there. Just basically driving underneath the 23 machine.
Yeah, that 23, it reminds me of Elliott Sadler back in, 2003, 2004, 2005 range, if I'm remembering correctly. One of those, he did just a straight blowover, not as spectacular, but one of those years, cartwheeled down the backstretch into 3 and 4, and that's basically what that silver truck, the number 23, did down the front stretch right there. And there's just, that 20 took such a harsh angle off, and here you go. Oh, yep. You even saw that little steering wheel input where he's like, "Where'd he go? What happened? Why did he disappear?" Because he just managed to drive under and worked out really, really well for Robert Dudley right there. But yeah, here you go. Just the 19 kind of misjudges it, and that's such a harsh angle that iRacing basically gave the number 20, bouncing off that inside wall, just threw him right back into the path of the cars that were coming down the front stretch.
Yeah, and both of those drivers, the 23 machine and the number 20, have pulled it to the garage. Now, however, under this caution flag, it has been fortuitous for a driver of the number 9 machine. There he is. Winner of the first Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award here tonight. That is the number 9 machine of James Lorella. Now, another thing that we have to check in on, as we will under every caution flag here tonight in the Brookstone Animal Hospital Throwback event, is of course, the Buttkicker Challenge. Where is driver of the number 26 machine? Well, there he is. My goodness. That number 26 machine already up into the top 10. Now, we did have a lot of drivers, Drew, under this caution flag come down pit road and take on fresh tires. In fact, I'm seeing only the top 10 drivers elected to stay out. But at least for right now, JT Poole taking part in that Buttkicker Challenge. He is currently up there inside the top 10 in the 8th position as they currently run right behind Ben Mashburn in the Bill Elliott-inspired number 24 Mac Tonight Throwback. A really, really great-looking paint scheme on that number 24 machine, I have to say. Ben Mashburn always knocking it out of the park. We typically see him run a Jeff Gordon throwback scheme, but here tonight running, look at even the signature, the driver's signature above the door even has that retro throwback flair on it. That is definitely one of the cooler looking trucks in the field here tonight.
Yeah, so again, I'm outing myself as being a former Jamie McMurray fan, because no longer races, of course. But I never understood why they didn't run that scheme more. It kind of fits in with the Jamie McMurray, Larry Mack moniker that he bestowed upon him. Great looking scheme. I know he ran that for Darlington, I believe, one year. Did the number 1 car at that time, driven by McMurray. But always one of my favorite schemes. Predates my fandom into NASCAR a little bit, but whenever you kind of get that faux nostalgia feel, you want to go back and look through all those cool old schemes. That was always one that certainly stuck out. I believe the 94 season, if I'm not mistaken, is when that ran, maybe missing by a year either direction. But Ben Izinga, nonetheless, in that number 07 Budweiser throwback scheme, leads the field to the green flag. And Peter, another exceptional restart from Izinga. This is what won him the race last weekend. He's continuing that tonight into Darlington.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Izenga, of course, winning last week at Richmond International Raceway. We're looking a little bit further back now behind him. That is Mitchell Adams in the number 49 machine. Your reigning back-to-back Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series champion in the number 49, now up into second, is Colin Ullery in the number 62 machine right there to the inside of the number 17 of Tristan Maher. The Ray Bestis Brakes throwback scheme right there. So Kyle Petty on the number 62 of Colin Ullery. JT Poole has picked up another position, of course, taking part in the Buttkicker Challenge here tonight. He's now up to 7th. And I think, Drew, that his call to stay out here is probably going to be a very good move for the 26, especially with how difficult it is to pass here at this particular racetrack. Doug Neal is the first driver on fresh tires, however, in the Simbox Chevy Silverado, the bright yellow machine, chartreuse, if you will, highlighter yellow, whatever you want to call it. But that number 77 is now up into the 9th position, picking up 1 position from where he restarted the race and exactly where he started the race here tonight in position number 7. But back up at the front, Ben Izenga, Mitchell Adams, Tristan Maher behind Andrew Himmelman. There's the number 17, and Colin Ullery running out your top 5.
Yeah, and kind of similar to the running order we saw last week, right? I believe Ben Izinga, Mitchell Adams, Drew Himmelman all finished top 5. If not, almost in this order. I can't remember if I'm remembering quite correctly. But very, very similar running order that we have going right now. That NWO scheme, that number 18 truck. That is, of course, Kyle Lewis battling that number 6. That 18 way down on the apron right there. Not the ideal lines through 3 and 4. You can use that to kind of de-wedge the truck if you're a little tight. That's not where you want to be entering the corner, though. Typically, center off is where you can use that apron to get that truck turning a little bit better than it might otherwise be handling. Number 9, though, of Lorello had that early drive-through penalty, now passing Doug Milner. That, I believe, will be for the 14th position right there. Yeah. Hey, look at that, folks. I didn't even look at that graphic. I was just looking at the screen, and I managed to guess that correctly. But Lorello showing quite a bit of speed tonight. Obviously qualified in second position, but just how he raced those leaders, Peter, after that drive-through really made me think that number 9 is a guy we need to look out for, similar to how he was a guy to look out for last week with he and Izinga battling there late. And Izinga even said as much, that he was one of those trucks that he was looking out for last week. That number 9 truck is a guy he's going to have to look out for once again here tonight, I think, if he's able to cut through there. Now the number 24 truck and company right there, the number 2 and 11 trucks racing a little aggressively there. Some interesting maneuvering going on with that number 11 truck of Chris Darling behind him. The number 26 of JT Poole, our pole sitter here tonight, is making some good progress, Peter, already back into the top 5.
Yeah, that decision for him not to come down pit road on lap number 7 was a good one. He's now up inside the top 5. Doug Neal, however, the first driver on for fresh tires, he's only worked his way up to 8th. He's only picked up 2 positions from the drop of the green flag from the first caution flag of the night. So JT Poole here closing in on the back bumper of Tristan Maher. And I did some sleuthing here, Drew. Kenny Irwin Jr. was the driver of the Robestus Brakes machine. Butch Miller also ran the Robestus Brakes machine, but looks like JT Poole is getting underneath the number 17 right now as they're side by side. This is the battle for the 4th position on the racetrack. And Drew, this racetrack, very unique with the way it is shaped and very unique in the way you have to race it, can be one of the more difficult racetracks to make a pass at, because in turn number 1 and 2, you want to be kind of on the higher line, although it looks like the number 17 of Tristan Maher there letting the number 26 on by, says, you know what, you're a little bit faster than me. Cooler heads prevailing here at Darlington.
Yeah, through 1 and 2, you kind of take a very a-traditional line. You enter middle bottom, you run up high, you cut back low right there on exit. Turn 3 and 4, you typically enter a little bit lower and almost let that thing slowly fade high as the corner goes on. Now, that does change depending on the vehicle that you're driving. The more horsepower you're running, the more you square off those corners. These trucks running the least amount of power of the 3 NASCAR National touring vehicles, so a little bit less diamonding off the corners, rounding off that exit. Because, folks, of course, the less wheel you have in the truck, in the car, in the vehicle, the more throttle you can apply. The wheels only have 100% of grip, and basically you have to divide that pie of grip between steering input and throttle. And here at Darlington, that can change quite a bit, but there is one typical line going right there, which is what you see most of these guys doing, which is just not quite what you would expect. And of course, Peter, this is all a result of the thing that we hear, I don't know, 172 times every time NASCAR comes here, which is that there was a minnow pond in the way during construction of turns 3 and 4, which make that a little bit narrower than 1 and 2. But hey, that's with a lot of tracks, right, that are outstanding. You just kind of have some weird design stuff that happened, 70 years ago. Thinking of Spa, thinking of Monza, thinking of tracks that just kind of happened to be designed way back when and have become one of the all-time great tracks that we race at now. Just out of peculiarities in Darlington, I think on the oval side certainly is one of the most unique tracks that we go to. Definitely a relic, something that maybe is not terribly well suited to modern cars, but something that the history and the amount of races and great drivers that have come through this track and exceeded and done well, and the amount of punishment this track gives to you. I know I have had far more bad finishes than I've had good finishes here, and that's just because this place is so unforgiving. So it might not necessarily, like Monaco, produce the greatest racing of all time. It certainly is one of those things that I think every driver kind of feels a little bit nostalgic going into.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really the reason why we have the throwback here, and you can see we've only been green flag here for about 15 laps here, folks. but we have kind of a good portion of the field broken up here. Here is a battle for position. This is the number 5 machine up. Ben Adams going for position right now on your screen. He's got the number 6, Doug Milliner. Oh, Stan Houseman, the Tropical Smoothie Cafe machine in the wall, picking up his Darlington stripe here tonight. You can see the right side of the number 39 truck all now rubbed off. And that number 39 machine going to have to come down pit road under the next caution flag to try and fix some of that damage. But you can see this little train of cars led by Ben Mashburn, Doug Milliner. And then you got Robert Dudley, who we focus on right here. Ben Adams and Dalton Hayes back behind him. This is the battle, for the 12th position. And then it's a pretty decent gap up ahead of them, up to the number 9 machine of James Lorello. In fact, looking out back of Lorello, you can't even see a truck back there. I mean, there's Ben Mashburn right there coming onto the backstretch, but that is a significant gap. There is Travis White and Colin Ullery right in front of the number 9 machine. But as of right now, I'm keeping my eyes on the number 26 machine. Was your pole sitter here tonight, is going for the Buttkicker challenge, has already worked his way up into the 3rd position. Recently got around Mitchell Adams. And I'll tell you what, Drew, that number 26 is looking fast.
He sure is rapidly closing in on our front two, but caution, 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 Peter. Just kind of looking around the track right now to see exactly what happened. And the 18, here we go. That number 48 truck. Here we go, looking up my cheat sheet. Robert Dudley. Ooh, and the 47 get together. The 47 is Dalton Hayes. I believe was that Stan Houseman that got involved in that going into turn 1. And that's just how quickly stuff can get tight here. Here we go. A really low line down the front stretch, and he's just really pinched off his entry. And that, of course, forces that 48 to run high, and then the 47, unfortunately, is the truck that is to the high side of that 48 when he can no longer maintain that kind of really low entry. And I believe Stan Houseman got a decent piece of that as well, Peter. And that's the thing here at Darlington. Not a large mistake there by the 48, but just when he entered that low, he was always going to run high. And unfortunately, the 47, the 39 of Stan Houseman definitely gets a piece of that. Unfortunately, those were the trucks that were there, and ultimately they got involved. But not to say this is the 47's fault, but I think if you're the 47 and you see that 48 truck going in a little bit low, you should recognize that he's probably going to run wide through the center of 1 and 2 and try to give him as much space as possible. That's the only thing that's going to really avoid an incident at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. Now, everyone on pit road trying to win the race off pit road. Looks like Ben Izenga will hold on to that spot over the number 8 of Andrew Himmelman. JT Poole coming out 3rd off of pit road. Monty Glover, the number 10 machine, has elected to stay out, at least for now, as we're working lap number 30. We should have the stage break at around lap number 60 here tonight, so we will check on that, whether or not that is true. Let's go check on the chat, however, and see how the chat is doing here tonight on 3Wide TV. We appreciate each and every one of you as we close in on 1,000 subscribers here on 3Wide TV. Definitely going to be a special day when we do finally hit that. Johnny Williams saying there are actually 4 Kyle Petty throwbacks in the field. The number... Not sure what number. The number is also a Kyle Petty paint, so I guess there's another Kyle Petty paint somewhere in there here tonight. Tana Himmelman saying, yeah, I liked Rusty. I liked Dale Jarrett. Daytune Sports saying, I was a Rusty fan until I stopped watching. Back in the day, Tana Himmelman saying, I was never a Kyle Petty fan. Hated about his son. Loved his dad. He just didn't have it, in my opinion. Kyle Lewis saying the Kyle Petty scheme that we're missing is the NWO scheme driven by the number 18 machine of Kyle Lewis. There is the number 18 machine. I never knew that Kyle Petty drove an NWO scheme. That's something that I must have missed over the years. Stephen Doziak Jr. saying, I was over your way too. Too bad I didn't see it till I got home. I'm guessing Stephen Doziak was close to Daytune Sports. They live in the same town, I do believe. Oh yeah, pretty happy chat here tonight. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Garrett Gleason saying Tristan is running one of Garrett's scheme because Monday wasn't enough for him. Yeah, Tristan ran for Garrett Gleason on Monday night here in Total Nonstop Racing League here on 3 Wide TV. Johnny Williams saying number 18. There we go. Tyler Dudley rooting on Robert Dudley here tonight. And Stay Tuned Sports saying yes, had jumbo marshmallows. Dude, where can I get some jumbo marshmallows? I'll tell you what. I could do with some right now. Maybe some marshmallow ice cream. You know, they have the ice cream, Drew, that has marshmallows in it. I know, you and I know, a lot of people in the chat are going to look at us strange, but HEB has a few ice creams that have marshmallows in them that are absolutely to die for. Of course, I don't have HEBs where I live now, but I grew up at HEB, and it is a sad life without HEB. That is for sure. Giving them a little bit of time here on the 3 Wide TV channel as we're about to get set to go back green.
Yeah, I went to the HEB today, and as a matter of fact, Peter, to buy some supplies for dinner for the next few days, along with some of my favorite cold beverages. Hey, HEB, sponsor us. Give us some discounts.
I'll tell you what, you're making me jealous. You're making me jealous. We don't have any up here in the Dallas market, at least right now. Although they are coming to the Dallas market, but nonetheless, we'll throw that aside. We're back green here at Darlington as Ben Izenga gets himself back out front. The number 8 machine of Andrew Himmel and Tristan Maher able to squeak his way up into the 3rd position. JT Poole in 4th, and Mitchell Adams able to jump up in front of Doug Neal and hold on to the 5th position, at least for right now. Side by side a little bit further back, however. Back around Colin Ullery and Doug Milliner, although they sort things out there. Back to single file. Trying to see if there's any more battles for position happening out there on the racetrack right now. I don't think we had a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner under that particular caution, although Stan Hausman is now the first truck 1 or more laps down. He is just about 3 laps down, having to fix a lot of damage on the Tropical Smoothie Cafe machine. Evan Gilbert in the number 19 machine is not on the racetrack as they currently run. So we still have 24 of the 28 runners here still out there running around the racetrack, at least at some level of strength. The best battle for position right now is between these two right here, Doug Neal and the number 49 of Mitchell Adams right in front of him.
Hey, Doug Neal, we talked about him last week. I know I certainly did, but just doing a fantastic job the past few weeks. This whole entire season really stepping up his performance in that number 77 machine, that chartreuse Simbox truck. Right here, looking at his Simbox teammate, that number 2 of Justin White. We are riding on board with Colin Woolery in the number 62 truck. This is a battle for 11th position with that Mac Tonight number 24 truck of Ben Mashburn representing that top 10, which is always one of those things. Everyone's looking to get a top 10 every race, if not a top 5, but you always at least want to get that 10th position. So in that stat column of top 10s, you got a 1 instead of a 0 or a 2 instead of a 3 there, so on and so forth. So these guys trying to get by that number 2 truck who seems to be holding up that number 62 and the 6 and the 28 trucks right there. And as we mentioned, Peter, being faster than somebody here at Darlington is one thing, but you really have to know how to set up a pass. If you're just quicker through the center of the corner, you're never going to pass anybody. It doesn't matter if you're half a second quicker than the truck in front of you. If you don't know how to set up that pass and how to carry that momentum down into the passing zones, into 1 and into 3, you're never going to be able to pass a truck here.
Yeah, you really have to set up your pass almost a full corner in the rear. I mean, you really have to watch out for this. Now, here is the number 8 machine of Andrew Himmelman. He's trying to make that pass in turn number 3 that you mentioned about, Drew, but not able to get it done this time. The way I try and make passes here at Darlington is I try and get a good run out of turn number 4, try and run a little bit different line than the car in front, or truck in front in this instance, to try and get a little bit of a run coming out of turn number 2, like you see Andrew Himmelman doing right here, and then I try and duck to the low side. But Himmelman going to stay locked to the bumper of the number 07 of Ben Izenga, who continues to lead here tonight. Did not pick up the Pole Award brought to you by our friends over at Craig's Setup Shop at the beginning of the night. Here comes Andrew Himmelman, though. As I say that, Himmelman going to look to the low side in turn number 1. This is one of the more difficult places to make a pass, but usually, Drew, it's really assertive.
Yeah, you certainly can't be indecisive here at Darlington. You really got to make that move, and you got to do everything in your power to make it stick. When you can't make it stick, you're probably going to not only lose that position, you're probably going to lose quite a few others, especially if these guys are in close proximity. JT Poole, our pole sitter, but not our P1 starter, now moving into second position and running down that number 07 of Ben Izenga. And one guy I was expecting a little bit more from on this restart, I gotta say there, Peter, boom, right there in that kind of chrome black and green number 9 truck, hasn't made his way through the field nearly as well as that 26 has. Both of those guys started towards the back. The number 9, of course, didn't actually start towards the back, had that drive-through penalty early on. The number 26 took up the Buttkicker challenge with possibly $50 on the line. 5-0, folks, is that number 26 truck all over the tailgate of that number 07.
Yeah, JT Poole right now in that number 26 machine. Zaps on the hood. Looking at the back of Ben Izenga, trying to split himself and the number 8 machine of Andrew Himmelman right back behind him. JT Poole looking to the low side through turn number 3 and 4, jumps back in behind Izenga. But here he comes, looking down into turn number 1. We saw Andrew Himmelman try and do this a lap or two ago, or a couple laps to go at least at this point, as they're clicking him off pretty quickly. But JT going to slide back in front of Andrew Himmelman, and he's going to try again here. Going to have to reroute that number 26 machine, get it going, and closing back in on the 07 machine, Drew, as we close in on the one and only stage caution that we have here tonight at Darlington.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Peter, could you remind me what that stage caution is? I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I did not get a ping this week, but I believe that it's going to come around lap number 60. Usually it comes at the 1/3 race distance, and then you choose the closest multiple of 5. So if you divide 183 by 3, you're going to get 61. The closest multiple of 5 is 60. So it should come out around lap number 60. Now, if it's lap number 65, I do apologize, folks. Like I said, I wasn't exactly sure, did not see a true number here tonight, but definitely going to be one heck of a surprise. It always is up here in a 3-wide TV booth. A couple of weeks ago at Talladega, we definitely had our heads scratching over that one, but there are points on the line at the one and only stage break. You do get bonus points for that, so you are going to race all you can to try and get as many points as you can get, because every point matters at the end of the season. JT Poole up into second, Ben Izenga leading the race, Andrew Himmelman, Mitchell Adams third and fourth, Tristan Maher still running out the top 5. Strong run here tonight for the number 17 machine so far. Tana Himmelman in the chat saying, I didn't really watch NASCAR growing up, mainly as an adult. Odd story when Dale Sr. died, and meanwhile, I'll put that to the side. Here comes JT Poole looking to the inside of Ben Izenga. They're really tight, the 26 and the 07. Looks like for right now, JT's going to have to slide back into second. All right, back to what Tana Himmelman was saying. Odd story, when Dale Sr. died, my husband at the time, and I didn't have cable, and all the networks were covering NASCAR and the funeral, so I started watching then. Nothing like a highly publicized death to get you into a sport. Tana, you know, similar story for me. I grew up in a household that was a Formula One household. We grew up watching Formula One each and every week that they were on. Of course, my favorite driver growing up in F1 was Mika Hakkinen, the champion of 1998 and 1999 in his McLaren. And I wasn't really into NASCAR by the year 2001. And I saw, Ben Izenga, your race leader in the outside wall, throwing up sparks on the right-hand side of the number 07 Budweiser King of Beer Chevy Silverado. And here comes JT Poole. We'll put a pin in that topic here for just a minute. And JT to the inside in turn number 3. They're tight once again. Can he pull off the move this time? Doesn't quite look like it. Izenga holds on, and here comes Himmelman. Gonna try and get second position on back here, Drew.
Yeah, it's just, again, if you don't make the pass work, you really put yourself in a position to where guys like that number 8 truck can take advantage of that and then really attempt a solid passing maneuver right there. The 26 looking at taking advantage that Ben Izinga made, and ultimately, not only did he not make the move and complete that pass, but the number 8 of June Himmelman was able to try to take advantage of the number 26, kind of putting himself in a bad position right there. But things have kind of settled down. A little bit of smoke right there. What happened? Peter, did the 07 find the wall again? Just kind of let him know. That must have, of course, have been from some lag or something like that. But to kind of go back to what you were mentioning earlier as well, Peter, none of my family was into NASCAR, not even into motorsports whatsoever. My dad's a big golf guy, a little too slow-paced for me, but to each their own. I made sure to spend Father's Day watching the PGA with him last weekend. But yeah, I just kind of happened to stumble across NASCAR a few times as a kid. I remember watching the Daytona 500 in '98, just kind of happenstance to watch seniors win, and then a couple races here and there. Definitely didn't, kind of plan to watch it. Just was a kid at kind of time, especially on the weekends on a Sunday, and managed to watch a few races. The first time I really remember watching a flag-to-flag race was the '01 Pepsi 400, but still didn't quite catch the bug. That happened in Michigan '03 when Sterling Marlin and the Vapor Lock stuff tended to happen quite a bit. That Coors Light number 40 scheme was just fantastic as well, and which is kind of how you get to your favorite driver. My favorite driver, Jamie Murray, and all that good stuff. But it's always cool to remember that stuff. But yeah, nothing I don't think catapulted NASCAR further forward in the public's eye than the death of Dale Earnhardt. However tragic that is, it certainly helped NASCAR be more in the consciousness of the American public. Everybody knows who Dale Earnhardt was. Absolutely everybody in America knows who Dale Earnhardt was. I don't think a ton of drivers since then resonate quite like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And of course, as a Kevin Harvick fan myself growing up, I was a Kevin Harvick fan because the very next race, after Dale Earnhardt died, someone had to jump in his car. Someone had to step up to the plate, and it was Kevin Harvick. A young kid at the time. Of course, I was pretty young myself, as we see JT Poole going for the race lead here to the inside of the 07 machine. We'll see whether or not he can make the move. This is like the last time I was talking about this subject. Jumps to the inside, not able to make the move this time. But someone had to jump up to the plate to take over Dale's car, and it was Kevin Harvick. And, of course, I'll never forget that very third race that Kevin Harvick was in the car back at Atlanta Motor Speedway in 2001. The Cracker Barrel 500 was a very special race for me. It cemented myself as a Kevin Harvick fan. Of course, I don't watch NASCAR anymore. It just has gone not the right direction, not the way I wanted it to go. And it's not the same that it used to be, at least in my eyes. Some people will beg to differ, but at least for me, I've been a Kevin Harvick fan, and really, if it wasn't for Kevin Harvick still in the sport, I probably would have zero ties to the sport. So, nowadays, I see better racing in sim racing. These guys here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series put on an absolute show for everyone here on 3Wide TV each and every week, as James Arello back there in the number 9 machine. We saw Tristan Maher in the number 17 get loose a couple laps ago in the Master Millwright number 17 machine right there. The Rebestis Brakes Throwback allowed Lorello to scoot on by. But we're now just about 3 laps away or so from the one and only stage caution here, Drew. And it looks like Izenga is just about going to lead this entire first stage from flag to flag.
Yeah, a great effort by Izenga right here. And folks, the 26 is faster. When you see a truck able to attempt to pass, not make it, fall back, catch back, run right on the tailgate of the truck in front of them once again, you know he's faster. JT's faster. He just can't figure out what he needs to do to get by that 07 as he makes a move into turn 3, but a right front fender going into the corner is not going to make it work. You have to set up the pass a little bit cleaner than that as the 07 once again gets a little out of shape out of the exit of turn 4. Can the 26 make a move? He cannot. Also, got to give a big shout out to JT Poole. I tried Zab's chips, Peter, for the first time just because of JT. Hey, folks, Sim sponsorship does work, I promise you. And oh my goodness, they're the best chips I've ever had. One of the best sponsors ever as he tries to take that number 26 Retro Zap scheme to the inside of Izinga. Man, Izinga just has a really good drive into turn 3. The 26 still can't quite make it work. He's trying. The 07 gets a little bit sideways out of turn 4. So does the 26. So does the 8. All three of those guys get a little sideways, allowing Mitchell Adams to now make this a 4-way battle for the top spot as we are rapidly closing in on the stage break.
Yeah, that we are coming down the front stretch. Looks like, again, the number 26 machine going to dive to the inside. You see Tony Lucarelli, the last truck on the lead lap, trying to do his best to stay ahead of this group here as we come to the one and only stage caution here in just a little bit. Sam Hausman also coming off pit road here. He's going to drop another couple of laps down, but it is still Ben Izenga, JT Poole, and Andrew Himmelman 1, 2, 3, and Mitchell Adams of the 49 has closed in on this group of cars as well. You see a little bit of smoke, a couple of these trucks getting really sideways, as was the number 9 machine. We'll see whether or not the caution flag does come out. Indeed it does. Caution flag coming out here on lap number 60, the one and only stage break we have here tonight. Looks like Ben Izenga, Andrew Himmelman, 1, 2, JT Poole. Well, not sure if JT's going to get that second spot there when that caution flag flew, but iRacing appears to be scoring it to Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine. So that is definitely going to be an interesting one here tonight. There is Izenga, though, Drew, pretty dominant here in the first stage of tonight's race, leading just about every single lap up to now at the 1/3 race distance.
Dominant statistically, but I really don't think he's the quickest truck here tonight. That 26 applied a ton of pressure, and then once that 26 applied pressure, you saw the 8, you saw the 49 all come into play as, the number 8 truck disappeared for a good 10 seconds right there. Our second place runner, that purple 8. Izinga certainly has done a really good job managing the race. But I don't really know if he's the guy that I would pick to finish this thing off. I just think when you have the pace that the 26 has displayed, and you have 122 laps left, you're probably going to bet money on that guy. You're going to bet the money on the speed, especially when JT Poole is not known for making egregious mistakes when he has a ton of pace. I would put money on that number 26 right now based on even odds, especially with this pit stall, this pit box, a good clean entry into that pit box. And Peter, that pit box just can be such an advantage coming off of pit road. We'll see shortly if these guys are able to take advantage of that. Does JT, the 8, I think, in fact, wins the race off of pit road.
Yeah, sure did look like Andrew Himmelman's going to win that race off pit road, and looks like the iRacing scoring officials agree with that call, as Himmelman will lead Izenga, JT Poole off pit road, Mitchell Adams going to be 4th, James Morello in 5th, then Tristan Maher back there in 6th, Jeff Price 7th, Doug Neal, Ben Adams, and Jamar Dumas rounding out the top 10 of your drivers off pit road. We do believe Jason Shue in the number 15. At least we believed he was going to get the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. I believe he did indeed. So give the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award to that man right there in that number 15 Chevy Silverado. Get himself one of his laps back. Not sure what happened to Jason Shue, but he's currently being scored, I believe, almost 2 laps down by my math. Yeah, 2 laps down in the number 15 truck. So hopefully he can get those laps back before the number 3 truck. Hopefully he can get those laps back before the end of the night. 1/3 race distance. Andrew Himmelman is now your race leader for the first time here tonight. Ben Izenga. I think the big question, Drew, whether or not Ben Izenga got any of that damage fixed, because we know he had smacked the outside retaining wall a couple of times.
It sure doesn't look like it, just looking from my not Sim TV cameras that you folks are enjoying here tonight. That 07, some scratches were repaired, but that right front fender sure is not straight. Neither is that rear spoiler on the right side, both of which are a little misshapen. But now, Peter, I think one of the most underrated things that Izenga has done all of tonight is control these restarts masterfully. And now he will not be able to do so. I thought the 26 was making a move right there. Sorry, folks, we just had a little bit of an extended yellow. I think, never mind. The field is forming up. The number 8, Peter, interesting choice with the high line. I was about to say that 07 is really at a disadvantage because I thought the 8 would take the bottom, 26 would be behind him, and the 07 would be alone and unafraid on that high line. But interesting choice by Drew Himmelman. Do you agree with taking that high lane?
Yeah, you know what? I think I do agree with that. We've seen the driver who controls these restarts have a significant benefit all season long here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, and Andrew Himmelman going to try and use that high line to quickly clear the 07 machine of Ben Izenga. Of course, you want to be in that high line, which opens up your entry into turn number 1, and so we will see whether or not that holds true here when Andrew Himmelman puts the pedal to the metal here in just a couple of seconds as the iRacing pace car heads down onto pit road. The race is in Andrew Himmelman's hands, and he's already on that loud pedal. We are back to green flag here at Darlington Raceway, and we got side-by-side action right back behind him. Mitchell Adams to the outside of Ben Izenga. They sort things out before going off to turn number 1. Move Mitchell Adams now up to 3rd in his Kyle Petty throwback.
Big loser on that restart. That number 26 truck, that's the position I thought that 07 would be in on this restart. That second bottom lane is always, or the 4th place-ish truck, which the 26th kind of restarted in 4th position because he didn't get to queue off of that leader. I know it's a little convoluted, folks, but that's what happened. Peter, what are we queuing up in the replay?
Contact between the number 28 and the number 24, Ben Mashburn, Jamar Dumas. Mashburn gets into the back at Dumas, and Dumas has to chase it up the racetrack into the outside retaining wall through turn number 3 and 4. And Dumas now going to lose a couple positions. Lost a spot to Colin Ullery in the number 62, as well as Monty Glover, but a lot of right side damage to the number 28 machine. You see him now we're back live right in front of Vincent Valvano, the 00 machine running in the 15th position right there in the Cars for Cause Ford F-150. You see a little bit of damage on Vincent Valvano's truck right there as Christopher Darling getting to the inside of Ben Mashburn. This is a side-by-side battle right now for 10th.
Yeah, side by side for the 10th position. Chris Darling in that Cartoon Network throwback number 11 scheme. One of the cooler, one of more obscure throwbacks that we have here tonight. I want to say Johnny Benson or Ricky Craven ran that scheme. I really can't remember. A little bit before my time. Do you know who that was, Peter?
Yeah, that is a Lake Speed throwback. One of the best racing names of all time. You can't have a better racing name than Speed. However, both Scott and, to a lesser extent, Lake have not done the Speed last name all too much justice here over the past 35 years in motorsport. But that's what Chris Darling has got going for him here tonight, back when Lake Speed was sponsored by Cartoon Network, of all things. But really cool to see that number 11 truck out there here tonight, and I'm sure definitely going to be one of the fan favorites back at home. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, it is still Andrew Himmelman, but JT Poole in the 26 machine just got past Ben Izenga as well as Mitchell Adams. Last time we looked, Izenga and Adams were in 2nd and 3rd. Now JT Poole all over the back bumper of the number 8 machine, who we ride on board with right now going off into turn number 3.
Yeah, Poole, I'll be honest, Peter, I didn't see what was happening either. I was watching the stream just like everybody else. Okay, so folks, what happened was, I think that number 07 tried to make a move. Oh, here we go. Exactly. This is exactly where I'm at, rewinding it. The 07 tries to make a move. Oh, gets wicked loose right there. That's what happens when you don't use that apron quite correctly. And then the 07, obviously way out of the throttle right there, allows JT to get by him. And Peter, I got to say, based on the speed differential between Himmelman and Poole, I gotta think it's a matter of time before that 26 gets out into the race lead here. With now, granted, quite a bit of time left, but I would be worried if I was the rest of the field when JT Poole gets to the race lead.
Yeah, we're just checking on what happened to driver of the number 48 machine here, Robert Dudley. Goes off, out into the outside wall. Pretty heavy contact in the number 48 machine. And then he drops it down to the inside of the racetrack. Wonder if there is suspension damage on the number 48 machine. There you see the number 15 right there. I'm pretty sure that is Jason. Another moment there for Robert Dudley. There must be damage on that Toyota Tundra, Drew. I'm wondering if there's pretty significant suspension damage after that contact with the outside wall.
It certainly wouldn't surprise me. The walls here at Darlington tend to punish you seemingly more than the average wall does, especially through 3 and 4. You hang that right rear out. A lot of bad stuff can happen. As we have another replay queued up. Peter, what are we about to look at?
Yeah, just trying to see if something happened to Tristan Maher here in the number 17 truck. Because Tristan was up there on the racetrack, pretty high up. You see him running right behind the number 9 of James Arello. He was inside the top 7 or 8 in the Master Millwright Chevy. And no, it doesn't look like anything happened. He just peels down to the bottom side of the racetrack here, Drew. Kind of awkward timing. Tristan is back out there on the racetrack as we speak. Just wonder, maybe he forgot to refuel the truck. That would be a strange turn of events, but at least for right now, Tristan finds himself 1 lap down to the race leaders, and he has a couple of trucks to pass to get to the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog position. And there is your race leader, driver of the number 8 machine of Andrew Himmelman, working his way onto the backstretch right now. JT Poole behind him, Ben Izenga, Mitchell Adams 3rd and 4th. In 5th spot, James Arello, and silently creeping up into the picture is the 6th place driver, Ben Adams now. There he is, running right in front of Jeff Price and Doug Neal.
Now, Peter, I gotta wonder, because sometimes people have some real fancy programs and machinery and whatnot. That I wonder if these guys are just playing a little bit of short pit strategy and thinking, hey, I can make it on the same amount of stops as the guys in front of me if I pit now. Maybe I come and take a little bit of fresh tires, see how that works out. I've noticed in iRacing lately, especially at this point in the race, that it almost tends to offset. You're going to be quicker now, but when the 8, the 26, the number 07, the 49, when they come down pit road, they're going to be basically just as quick as you were when you pitted, and you're running the same speeds that they are now, and it almost offsets. The short pitting only tends to work, I think, when there's only 1 or 2 more stops left. This is fairly early to be short pitting, but that's the only real reasoning I can think of to see the 17 come down pit road, as well as, quite frankly, several other trucks that maybe aren't nearly as towards the front as that 17 was. But that's the only explanation I can think of. Can you think of anything else?
I really can't think of anything either. Now, we're also seeing that the number 41 machine of Tony Lucarelli has taken his truck to pit road, and it looks like the 41 of Tony Lucarelli has actually jumped out of his race truck altogether, so it might be night done for driver of the number 41. Now, Ben Izenga in the 07, who led just about every lap of the opening 60 laps before the stage caution. He's fallen back to the 4th spot now behind Mitchell Adams in his number 49 Hot Wheels machine. You see Mitchell Adams looks like he's picked up his Darlington stripe. We know that the 07 of Ben Izenga has picked up his Darlington stripe here tonight. So at least for right now, a pretty big gap between Andrew Himmelman and JT Poole and your 3rd place of Mitchell Adams. You can see that gap grow there on the top of your screen. We'll also bring up the current track map as they run out there. The number 8 machine working his way on the left side of the racetrack. The red stripe at the bottom of the screen is the start-finish line, and Andrew Himmelman's there right now. 26 is there, and then here comes your third place, number 49, Mitchell Adams. He goes across the stripe. So you can find your favorite driver and see where they are relative to your current race leader in that number 8 machine. Stan Hausman in danger of falling another lap down. He's just ahead of Andrew Himmelman. But as of right now, not a whole lot of racing going on the racetrack for position. Kind of looking inside the top 20. There's not many battles for any positions. The one we're looking at right now is the closest between Jeff Price and Doug Neal. This is the battle for 7th.
Battle for 7th ensues between that number 14 and 77 truck. Doug, towards the tail end of the top 10, or just outside of the top 5, up to, I believe, a high of 5th, 6th position, right around there. He is applying quite a bit of pressure to Jeff Price right now. But again, Peter, being quicker and setting up that pass correctly are two different things. Speed really only matters if you're quicker than the truck in front of you from center off. Anything other than that is just kind of frustrating. Just kind of waiting. Hopefully the guy makes a mistake. If he doesn't, there's not a lot I'm going to be able to do. That number 9 truck, though, of James Lorello, looks like he has snuck by his teammate, that number 07 of Ben Izenga, who really seems to be fading here lately, Peter.
Yeah, I think it's that right front damage that 07 machine picked up all not too long ago under that last green flag run. It just doesn't seem to be the same truck after that damage was picked up. We'll see whether or not he can get that damage fixed as the race goes on. Going back to Doug Neal, still running behind Jeff Price. They are about 1.9 seconds or so behind driver of the number 11, Christopher Darling, who finds himself about 5 seconds in front of Colin Ullery. What's happened to Colin Ullery? The number 62 machine, something must have just happened to him in turn number... What turn was that? That was turn number 3 and 4. Something must have just happened to him. Not sure if he got into the outside wall or what, but something definitely happened to that race truck here, Drew, as he got off into the corner. Just, catches that Darlington wall and just rides it all the way through turns 3 and 4 and loses a couple of spots.
The good old papyrus wall glue, bringing you action since 2002. Been a mainstay of the evolution of the NASCAR racing games, brought to you by, or developed by, Papyrus. Of course, those are the sims that iRacing is built on. And they've never gotten rid of wall glue. Not that it necessarily doesn't exist in real life, just I don't think maybe quite to the strength that it exists in the sim, because it's not a game, folks. It's a simulator. So, just an interesting feature of iRacing, certainly not a bug. Looking at that number 17 truck, who of course short pitted, that is Tristan Maher in that Ray Bestis old school Lake Speed truck. I remembered, Peter, you mentioned the Speed name. Coolest name that's not accomplished a whole lot other than, I guess, getting to F1 and getting to NASCAR, but underwhelming in both of those series was that last name. Not underwhelming, though, is the number 8 of Drew Himmelman, who has pulled away a little bit from JT Poole and a lot of it from James Lorello. Drew Himmelman enjoys a 5.5 second lead on third place, about 0.6 of a second between he and second place. A really impressive performance that 8 is putting on right now, Peter, considering after that first stage, quote unquote, didn't think that he was going to be a truck that would be able to put on this type of performance, as it looks like Ben Izenga's coming down pit road.
Yeah, Ben Izenga, the 07 machine, just worked his way on to pit road. We did kind of want to see on the 3-wide TV replay the pass for the third position. This was Mitchell Adams and James Lorello a couple of laps ago. The number 9 machine of Lorello ducked to the inside of the number 49 machine. We missed this, and Lorello squeaking his way on by Mitchell Adams. Here we go, back live now. Just waiting to see some of these drivers make the next pit stop. We'll see who eventually does make that pit stop. As you see, Doug Neal closing in on the back of Ben Adams. This is the battle for 6th position as they run. You see Jeff Price, who Neal was battling with, has got around Ben Adams. So Adams kind of sliding back into the clutches of Doug Neal. We will check on this delta here. You can see that gap was as big as 1.2-ish seconds, 1.15 seconds, 10 laps ago, and it is now just down to 0.2 of a second as Doug Neal in the Simbach Chevy Silverado really starting to close in on the back of the number 5 Chevy as well. Coming down the backstretch, does Doug Neal have the opportunity to make the move this time, Drew? Doesn't look like it as they go off into turn number 3 and 4.
Neal has been working Ben Adams, making sure I am speaking to the correct Ben. Sometimes the old mind gets Ben's confused. But Doug Neal fighting for that 6th position, been applying quite a bit of pressure to Ben Adams for the last run, basically. It feels like that 77 has been following that number 5, that 62 of Colin Ullery in 14th position, now coming down onto pit road as our leaders continue to stay out. The number 826, 949 are the guys that have been up front the vast majority of the race that are still out there right now. Colin was already a lap down prior to this pit stop. Now we'll go multiple laps down. It's sometimes hard to tell based on the iRacing timing and scoring. It doesn't matter if you're a car length behind the leader or if you're about to go 2 laps down. You're just 1 lap down according to live timing and scoring. It can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, but such is the iRacing timing and scoring. But this number 8, Peter, has been really, really impressive on this long run pace. I'm a little apprehensive as to how he can deal with JT Poole on fresh tires, but I think if he's able to withhold the pressure like he has been this last run that JT Poole applies on him early, I think Drew Himmelman has just about as good, if not better, long run pace than any of these trucks out there right now.
Yeah, Himmelman is looking mighty strong, isn't he? Now up to an 0.8 of a second lead behind, ahead of JT Poole. James Arello now, whoa, look at the number 24, Ben Mashburn, just came off pit row. You saw that at the bottom of your screen. And Mashburn using those fresh tires to get around Lorello. Lorello is currently about 6.5 seconds behind Andrew Himmelman as they run. Back behind him, another couple of seconds, is Mitchell Adams. He's almost 10 seconds behind your race leader. Jeff Price is actually closing in on Mitchell Adams. This would be a battle for the 4th position as they run. Of course, we've seen some drivers on some slightly different strategies. As we've missed it, Drew. We are now into the second half of tonight's Brookstone Animal Hospital Throwback event here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Of course, storyline here tonight is JT Poole going for the Buttkicker Challenge. He qualified on the pole position, brought to you by Craig's Setup Shop, and JT dropped to the tail end of the field to make himself eligible for that Buttkicker Challenge. $55 or so on the line here tonight for driver of the number 26 machine. If he's able to get to victory lane, he's currently running in second in his SAPS F-150 behind the number 8 truck, who is right in front of him. And it looks like Vincent Valvano, the 11th place truck here, Drew, in danger of falling 1 lap down.
I mean, when especially in a place like Darlington, which can tend to overemphasize the difference in speed between the guys that are very quick and the guys that are just pretty quick. You're going to tend to see a bunch of trucks go a lap down, especially like we've been seeing with the earlier pit stops. The guy who I'm looking at, who I believe is one of the guys that really knows what they need to do strategy-wise, is that number 07 of Ben Izinga. I know that Ben is not going to be a guy that doesn't know his windows, how many pit stops he's going to make, how to optimize his pit strategy. Every time I've talked to him, he has been absolutely on top of it. And so that's the guy I'm really looking at to be able to maximize pit strategy and delta time on and off pit road. Speaking of on pit road, the number of 8, Drew Himmelman, our former race leader, is now coming on to pit road. James Zarello stays out. He is our actual on-track race leader. But I'm really interested to see, Peter, where this number 8 comes out relative to the number 26 and that number 07.
Yeah, you see Chris Darling on pit road right now. In fact, JT Poole in the number 26 truck came down pit road 1 lap ago, so he's going to pull a little bit of an undercut on Andrew Himmelman. We will see, of course, just how Andrew Himmelman's able to get on and off pit road as you see that JT Poole, all that speed out of the number 26 truck as he just absolutely mows down the number 5 machine of Ben Adams. There's the number 8 machine of Andrew Himmelman, left side of your screen right now, working his way on pit road. Is JT Poole going to take that position? It looks like he will indeed. So move JT around Andrew Himmelman, at least for right now. Of course, Himmelman now going to have the fresher tire advantage on the number 8 truck, but things will have to cycle on through because there is your current race leader, James Zarello, who is yet to pit here. He's been out there on the racetrack now for 42 laps for all of you people counting back at home. I doubt anyone's counting how many laps it has been since Lorello was last on pit road. You need a couple of hands to do that. As I say that, though, the number 9 Stay Tuned Sports podcast Chevy Silverado is going to peel onto pit road himself. A very strong pit road entry there for Lorello. Jeff Price joining him. Looks like Mitchell Adams is on pit road right now. Ben Adams also already on pit road. Ben Izenga, the 07 truck. Remember, Drew, he pitted early. He pitted on lap number 89. So quite a few laps ago. And in fact, coming up on 20 laps on those tires, he's been out there running some pretty quick laps, and he's about 4.5 seconds right now ahead of JT Poole. I believe Izenga will take the race lead. Indeed, he did. Just got around James Zarello and Jeff Price, who were stationary on pit lane. So Izenga leads, JT Poole in second, Andrew Himmelman in third, and now we just have to wait to see who comes off pit road in the third position, but things are shuffling on through this caution, or not caution flag, but pit road cycle, I should say.
Yeah, I think to keep in mind, though, JT Poole 0.9 of a second faster than Izenga. This is what we kind of talked about earlier on, that, of course, short pitting can provide a big advantage. But in the case of Izenga, now he is, that last time by, Ben Izenga ran a 30.97. That 26 truck behind him ran a 20.92, a full second faster. And if that continues, Peter, not only does the 07 not gain a huge advantage, he could be in a pretty substantial deficit. As Pooh versus Eyes right there, you can see the difference in how quickly JT Poole has been closing in on that 07. Now just 1.7 seconds, the difference between the two. And folks, that doesn't look like a lot of drama, but I guarantee you that 26 was already fairly committed. The 07 gets into the wall. The 26 takes the bottom lane, and there we go. That quickly does that 26 take the race lead, and that whole short pitting sequence, as far as the race lead is concerned, is completely undone for Izenga, and that's not going to help his speed, especially if he is struggling with that tight condition that 07's been seeming to struggle with that increased right front damage.
Yeah, you really want to stay away from that wall here at Darlington. I know the Darlington stripe is a thing, and a lot of people get it, but with the speeds that you carry here around this racetrack, downforce is extremely important. And you can see here 160 miles an hour through turn number 1 and 2, and they're not going to drop. They're already picking up the throttle. You see JT Poole 163 on exit of turn number 2 and up to about 175 miles an hour before getting on the binders down into turn number 3 and 4. So it's a quick racetrack. here at Darlington Raceway. You do not want right front damage. It will destroy your aerodynamics. It will destroy your pace. And unfortunately, for your early race leader, Ben Izenga, it looks like that has struck here tonight, as we are well into the back half of the throwback race, brought to you by Brookstone Animal Hospital. Drew, I haven't necessarily seen any heartbreaks of the race so far. We'll be keeping our eyes on that. There is a prize that goes to the heartbreak of the race here at Darlington Raceway, but so far, if it was to be anyone, it'd probably be the number 23 for barrel rolling 8 times down the front stretch.
Yeah, some drama that we kind of missed a little bit, not towards the front, but the number 10 Amani Glover on lap 96, 97 of his race suffered a pretty substantial setback with the spin down the front stretch, a little bit of contact in the inside wall, no caution. But that 07, or I'm sorry, not 07, number 10, Izenga is 07. Not saying that, but number 10 coming down pit road and out of service. That truck, a little bit of misfortune for him.
There should be a replay of it, and oh, yep, indeed it is. Going around, and oh man, just right there at the end, kind of snapped on him. But yeah, off the racing surface, so we do stay green flag, and unfortunately he is now on pit road, like you said. So might be night done for Monty Glover. We just had a pass for the 5th position. Let's see if we can go pick up that battle for the 5th spot. That's not the battle for the 5th spot. Here we go. This is the battle for the 5th spot between Jeff Price, Doug Neal, and Mitchell Adams. Jeff Price here, the number 14 truck, gets a strong run out of turn number 2, dives to the inside of the number 77 of Doug Neal. Gonna make it look easy. Jeff Price has 5 lap fresher tires than Doug Neal on the number 77 Simbox truck. So that is the reason why that pass kind of did indeed look easy. We'll pick up that battle right here because Doug Neal is under fire from Mitchell Adams. Mitchell Adams also on fresher tires than Doug Neal, and Mitchell will squeak on by himself, move back up into the 6th position. Up at the front of the field, Andrew Himmelman has been closing in on JT Poole. This is the battle for the race lead here, as we have 70 laps to go, make that 69 laps to go as they go across the start-finish line here in the throwback event. JT Poole, Andrew Himmelman, a huge lead over Ben Izenga. 8 seconds between Himmelman and Izenga right now, and that is now almost 9 seconds as they head down the backstretch. The gap that these two have put on the field here tonight, Drew, extremely impressive.
Yeah, an exceptional performance by the 26 and the number 8. As now Izenga, we will see this next time by, but another spinner down the front stretch. Couldn't see quite who that was, but there definitely was a smoke and a smashing and a crashing going down on the front stretch. The number 24 machine. Here we go, seeing the replay for you folks. Just loose off of turn 4, just like that number 10. You spin to the inside, iRacing doesn't seem to care. Some substantial contact, but the number 24 gets back going. But Peter, not the first time we've seen this.
Yeah, definitely not the first time that we have seen a driver lose control out of turn number 4. We've seen that now a couple of times here tonight. In fact, a couple times over the last 10 to 15 laps or so. It makes me wonder if the racetrack is loosening up as it cools down. Maybe these tires not able to get enough heat in them to keep them nice and grippy. But hopefully that doesn't strike for your race leaders. Ben Izenga, to update on his status, he has come down pit road to get repairs on a very, very good-looking number 24 truck. I've been telling Ben Mashburn to get a new paint scheme past couple of weeks, but I've said that he's had no luck in that particular scheme. But unfortunately, it seems like his luck has run dry here tonight. Let's check on Garrett Gleason with his throwback scheme here. So I haven't really highlighted driver the number 7 machine right there. Got the chicken pit number 7 right there. He is running in the 15th position. Just wanted to highlight one of the other throwback paint schemes that we haven't seen here tonight, but the battle for the race lead is on, Drew. JT Poole has got Andrew Himmelman all over his back bumper.
Yeah, that long run pace by that number 8 has just been exceptional tonight. These guys, over 12 and a half seconds separates them in third position here on lap 119. And I expect that gap will be further enhanced between them and third position of Ben Izinga, who I think is going to have a certain number 9 truck battling before too long. But I really didn't know what to expect coming into tonight. Izinga, no surprise that he has had some good pace. JT, no surprise. Drew Himmelman, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but he tends to, for some reason, seem to stick out amongst those 3 drivers that are running up front. I know Drew's had some really good pace at several races this year, but I just don't think I was expecting the level of precision and the long run pace that he's had tonight. And here we go. Izinga already back on pit road.
Yeah, Ben Izinga coming down here with just over 60 laps to go. Make that 63 laps to go for the 07 to be on pit road, and that is a little bit of a long haul. There is your race leader already putting Izinga down a lap as he is coming to his pit crew at just about 50 miles an hour. That is the pit road speed limit tonight. And man, this is the best battle on the racetrack right now, as Himmelman just about a 1/10 of a second behind JT Poole as they head down the backstretch. That's nothing separating these two. Of course, JT started on the pole, had to go all the way to the back of the field, and then a caution came out on lap number 7 or so. In fact, I think it was even earlier than that, maybe lap number 5, and JT elected to stay out under that caution flag, gained a ton of track position, basically took him from about the 20th spot all the way up inside the top 8, and he has stayed there ever since, now leading the race over Himmelman as they go off into turn number 3. I think the big thing here, Drew, is of course that Buttkicker challenge. We talk about it now every week here on 3Wide TV because it's so big. The pot now above $50 that these drivers, they have to go for it. They have to go and try and get that race win, because $55 for a race win is a decent chunk of change. And JT Poole, probably as good as we've seen anyone so far this season go for that Buttkicker challenge. I know last week we had a pretty good attempt, although big wiggle at the back of JT Poole coming through turn number 3 and 4, and Himmelman to the inside, side by side for the race lead as they go off to turn number 1.
Yeah, I think Drew Himmelman is far enough along to where he will complete this pass, and I don't know that the 26 will be able to keep up with him once that is the case. I wonder if the 26 is going to be looking to short pit, because I believe that if that 07 hit it, that these guys should be looking at that. But Peter, do you think if these guys pitted here on lap 125, 126, that they can make it the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think they might just be able to make it the rest of the way. Of course, with the way this race is going, we have been caution-free for quite some time here. Of course, all these drivers making green flag pit stops under their last pit cycle. We can see if we can bring up that pit sequence right here up on the bottom of your screen, at least for your top 5. So lap number 62, right after the stage break, Drew, was when we last went green flag after caution flag. The drivers made it 40 laps or so before they were next on pit road. And so if that is truly the pit window, that means we'll see drivers come down on lap number 140 or so, and then stretch to the rest of the race. You see Steven Doziak in the number 55 have a big moment coming out of turn number 2. He is I thought he was the last truck on the lead lap. He is not. He is already 1 lap down in the Total Nonstop Racing number 55 Toyota Tundra. He's going to drop to the inside of the racetrack and allow the race leaders to go on by. It looks like very courteous thing for him to do. But yeah, you might be able to make it to the end of the race from here, but these drivers electing to kind of split things up into 40 lap segments, and I don't blame them. Here at this particular racetrack, the best lap that we saw here tonight by any driver, I think, was JT Poole, a 29.64 second lap. The last time by, JT Poole ran a 31.66, so 2 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the entire race. Tire drop-off pretty darn significant here at Darlington.
Yeah, and it's not surprising. Darlington, kind of like Rockingham to me. Kind of similar tracks, both very, very difficult, both very, very abrasive. I know that both tracks are kind of made from to use a concrete asphalt term, very coarse aggregate as far as their pavement is constituted. What are we looking at right here? The number 11 of Chris Darling making a move on that number 49 of Mitchell Adams, of course, our reigning two-time champion, back-to-back champion. And it looks like that 11 of Chris Darling was able to get by him. But, folks, what makes both of Darlington and, man, that number 26, I'm sorry, I'm just watching JT Poole. He is struggling with the loose truck right now as he had a big old wiggle in 3 and 4. Seashells are what make this track so abrasive and make the tire fall off absolutely massive. Both this place and Rockingham have utilized in the past seashells in the pavement, in the asphalt construction. And so when you have those big chunks kind of existing in there, it takes big old chunks off the tires when you go through it right there. And Peter, what are we queuing up on the replay for the viewers back home?
We are going to queue up the last lap for Jamar Dumas. It started with contact in the outside retaining wall through turn number 3 and 4. Then he drops down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Big slide out the back of the Pittsburgh Penguins number 28 machine. Then he goes off on the apron into turn number 1, washes up the racetrack, then comes back down the racetrack, back onto the apron. There goes Kyle Lewis, passing him on the outside of the apron because your race leader goes on by, and then another big slide out the number 28 machine in turn number 2, going down the Boeing backstretch here at Darlington Raceway. And yes, it is Boeing because it's an airplane that boings off the ground. Ha 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 ha. Good joke right there. Meanwhile, looks like he was able to corral things, and it's going back in the right direction as Andrew Hillman is your race leader. JT Poole right back behind him. And, folks, the gap from JT Poole to the third-place driver, who is now James Lorello, is 13.6 seconds. Unbelievable. We don't usually see these gaps in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series at all, at any racetrack. But here at Darlington, Himmelman and Poole putting on a clinic for all the fans back at home. Jeff Price is running in the 4th position right now. Meanwhile, Christopher Darling's holding on to the 5th spot, and right back behind him is Mitchell Adams. And I was kind of expecting, Drew, that Darling was going to be able to pull away kind of into the sunset, but that has not been true. Adams here sticking with the number 11 machine here as we were lap number 135.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Himmelman has been a guy who's been so good at just repeating the same thing over and over, which is kind of what racing is, right? It's being able to lift off, to brake, to turn in, to gas up at the same point over and over and over again. But just kind of like Doug Neal on that 77, Himmelman last season was a good, not great driver. And I think that he wouldn't be terribly upset with me making that observation. But this season, looking at tracks like Bristol Dirt and other tracks, he has just really stepped up his game as far as ability on track is concerned, and finding out, sometimes it's finding out what you're good at too, right, Peter? Sometimes you're not going to be the quickest guy as far as one lap pace is concerned. JT Poole seems to have that pretty well in hand at most tracks. Izinga tends to be exceptionally quick. And if your guy, and not that Drew Himmelman can't be exceptionally quick, but sometimes you're like, hey, I'm not quite as quick as that guy, but what do I do better? And it certainly seems like that 8 truck really tends to excel on longer runs, which is what we're seeing here tonight. Although, Peter, at number 26, JT Poole closing in a little bit here that last few laps. Gap was over a second, now under 7/10 of a second those last few times by, even though that 26 is still hanging that right rear out through the center of 3 and 4.
Yeah, you can see maybe closing in just a little bit over the last 5 laps or so here on 3 Wide TV. Looking a little bit further back, this is the battle between Mitchell Adams in the 49 on the 6th spot, and Ben Adams in the number 5, who's in the 7th spot. You can see their gap is just about staying the same as well. Christopher Darling in the number 11 back in front of them. You can see Darling just pulling away just a little bit. That gap now up to about 7.5 of a second that last time by. And just looking up and down the scoring pylon at any other battles, not really. There's not any whoa, but as I say that, we do have things happening up there near the front of the field. JT Poole coming down pit road here, Drew, with about 44 laps to go. Gonna come down to his pit crew and presumably take on service for the final time tonight in the 26 truck.
I like this move by JT Poole. You're not gonna very likely not gonna beat that 8 if you keep doing the same thing that he's doing. Come down a lap earlier. You're probably going to be over a second a lap quicker. We'll see how this ends out for him, but that 8 really needs to respond now. The longer that 8 waits at this point, the harder it's going to be. Now that 8 taking that hard left turn, very conservative entry onto pit road here, Peter, basically entering way down low into turn 3. Not going to be the quickest way, but going to ensure that you get on pit road, because you won't necessarily win the battle coming onto pit road, but you can surely lose it. If that 8 missed pit road, it would be absolutely disastrous. So no complaints from my end as far as that is concerned. I believe we are riding on board with the 26, Peter, if I'm not mistaken right now.
Good call there, Drew. We are on board with JT Poole right now as he closes up on the back of Jamar Dumas. Absolutely blows on by him. The big question is going to be the battle between the number 26 and, of course, Andrew Himmelman. Himmelman still in his pit box, finally off the jacks in the number 8 machine. Looking out back, where is JT Poole? Where is the number 26 machine? I think that's JT right now going around him in turn number 1 and 2. It is indeed JT Poole will inherit the race lead, but he will have slightly older tires than the number 8 of Himmelman, who comes out right back behind him. You see some other trucks headed down pit road as well. You see JT stuck behind the number 55 of Steven Doziak. Chris Darling in the number 11 on pit road. And whoa! I'm getting word that we might have had an accident. No caution flag here. We stay green. We are still green. Here is the 3 Wide TV replay. This is Justin White. Now, we did see him peel off onto pit road. And, whoa, big slide, big slide, big slide. Oh, man, just could not quite catch it. And Justin White there kind of spinning on entry to pit road, gets things pointed in the right direction. Man, that would have been some Tokyo Drift stuff if he was able to hang on to that truck, but unable to do so. But we have a couple of drivers who have yet to pit. James Arello and Jeff Price, Drew, hoping for a caution flag to come out here pretty soon, because the number 9 and the number 14 are out there right now, yet to make their 4th pit stops here tonight.
Yeah, just kind of playing their own strategies here, and as we've seen, I don't think it's improbable that a caution might fall. Here comes the number 9 onto pit road. Here comes the number 14 following him. So here we go. Peter, both these guys now coming on to pit road is, the 14 Loopser on pit road. Now, this can bring out a caution, especially when you're on the entry to pit road, and we will get that replay queued up for you folks. A fairly conservative entry onto pit road, but as you got to make that hard left turn and into the barrels goes the 14. And sometimes when you make that kind of side contact it's not a lot of damage, and sometimes you're like, oh, I have 3 minutes of optional damage iRacing wants me to repair, and that is very likely kind of day done for you if that's the case. But out front, what I've been looking at on my monitor right here is this battle right here between JT Poole and Drew Himmelman, and Himmelman's done a great job of navigating kind of a little bit more inconvenient lap traffic than JT Poole, and doing a really, really good job because he does have a lap fresher tires. He's been quicker on these longer runs, and I gotta say, Peter, I would favor that 8 a little bit more at this point in the race.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, and you can see that gap over the last 5 laps has closed from 2.4 seconds down to 1.6. Himmelman taking some chunks out of the race lead by JT Poole. Whoa, number 55 there, Steven Doziak getting into the outside wall as JT Poole definitely caught Doziak at, I would say, definitely the wrong spot of the racetrack. But that number 26 car now only with about a 1.1 second lead. So with him catching Doziak where he caught Doziak, that took away about a half of a second. That equates to a third of the race lead that he had. Definitely things not going the way JT Poole would want it here, with now closing in on about 30 laps to go here at Darlington Raceway.
Yeah, that 8 is just playing Jaws music right now in the cab of that Chevy Silverado that last time by. Actually, Peter, slower than JT Poole was Drew Himmelman. But basically every other lap these last, every lap since the last pit stop, that 8 has been closing in on that number 26 truck. And this is just kind of when, if you're JT Poole, you gotta dig in just a bit deeper and find a way to make it work.
Yeah, you really have to dig in deep, that's for sure. I know we have done that as sim racers ourselves late in the race. Now, what you just saw there was Andrew Himmelman caught Stan Hausman in an inopportune spot, kind of like what you see when you're racing multi-class racing on road courses, Drew. A couple laps ago, you saw that big drop there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen where JT Poole caught traffic at a bad spot. Well, now you see that swing to the left as Andrew Himmelman caught Stan Hausman at a bad spot. So JT Poole able to pretty much recover the lead that he had a couple laps ago. Now Himmelman definitely going to have to dig a little bit deeper, as you said, or Himmelman going to have to dig a little bit deeper. I think I might have said JT Poole. Anyway, whatever the case, I'm clicking all the buttons here, running all these cameras here, folks, and sometimes I just get a little bit backwards, but thanks for bearing with me. Let's go through the field here as we now have about 31 laps left here in tonight's Throwback event brought to you by Brookstone Animal Hospital and the National Sim Racing Association. JT Poole is your race leader, started on the pole, but dropped to the back of the field right at the drop of the green flag to take part in tonight's Buttkicker Challenge. He's worked his way all the way back to the race lead here in 153 laps. Make that, 153 laps in the books that last time by. And now stuck behind the number 2 of Justin White here, trying to hold on to the race lead in the Zaps machine. Has already got a win to his name this season, and my oh my, he lost a ton of time stuck behind the number 2. I'm sure he's hoping that the number 2 of Justin White makes it difficult for Andrew Himmelman to get around, because Himmelman really closing in. Speaking of Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine, he's been lightning quick. Started here tonight in the 6th position, and he's worked his way up to the race lead at times. Long run pace has been the name of Andrew Himmelman's night. Look at this. He's got the Simbox trucks to contend with. He's got Justin White to his outside, Doug Neal to his inside. There were 3 wide there for a brief moment, but Himmelman able to get on by the number 2 machine. James Zarello in the number 9 machine is running in the 3rd position right there. Now, one thing I do want to make mention of here, Drew, we just saw James Zarello. He's running in 3rd position right there, all by his lonesome. And 4th position, Well, you might see him right there on the screen, and if you just saw that number 49 truck and you said, you know what, I just saw that 49 truck, well, that's because we only had 3 trucks on the lead lap. JT Poole and Andrew Himmelman have lapped all but James Zarello. Mitchell Adams in 4th here, Drew. 1 lap down. Unbelievable. Oh, did Poole catch the wall?
I was about to say, Peter, that 26 just got the wall a ton, and the number 8 of Drew Himmelman into the race lead. That's all it takes, folks, is one decent-sized mistake. Not even a critical mistake, just a decent-sized mistake. And I got to say, I think that 8 is going to have the pace from here on out to be able to hold off that 26, though. Here he comes, a big run down the back stretches. JT Poole, though, not in position to make a move. He gets the wall again. Oh, that is just absolutely brutal for JT.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was just a little bit of aero push off the back of Andrew Himmelman's number 8 machine, and that might be all she wrote here tonight for JT Poole. Might need a caution flag to get to the back bumper of the number 8 machine, because Andrew Himmelman has been on an absolute tear. Here comes Mitchell Adams, though. I mentioned that we were down to just 3 trucks on the lead lap, but Mitchell Adams in the 49 will unlap himself here with slightly fresher tires, 2-lap fresher tires to be exact, than the number 9 of Andrew Himmelman. So we're back to 4, folks, here tonight on the lead lap. Christopher Darling in the 5th spot is now in the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog spot in his Lake Speed number 11 throwback scheme. Running the Cartoon Network colors here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series throwback event brought to you by Brookstone Animal Hospital. There's Jeff Price. He's running in the 6th spot right there. Been a kind of a quiet night for Jeff Price, but he's been bouncing around between the 5th and 8th spots pretty much for the entire race. Ben Izenga, early race leader, questionable on whether or not he can make it on fuel from here. Well, actually, I take that back. He pitted on lap number 150, so we know he's good to the end on fuel from here, but had to make one extra pit stop than just about everyone else around him. He kind of needs a caution flag to kind of even contend for the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. You see him right there in front of his teammate, James Zarello. Zarello running in the 3rd position right now. Tristan Maher right there running in the 8th position. We saw a lot of pace early out of the number 17 Raybestos Brakes throwback scheme. That was a Kenny Irwin Jr. scheme back in the day in the Truck Series. Right now, Maher all by his lonesome. About 4 seconds behind Ben Izenga and about 8 seconds behind driver of the number 77 machine of Doug Neal, who similarly has been bouncing between about the 6th and 9th positions all night long in the Simbox trucks. He's going to try and get one of his laps back from Andrew Himmelman right here. Himmelman being scored, was 2 laps in front of Doug Neal. So Himmelman now, Neal back to just 1 lap down on the racetrack. And then Ben Adams in the number 5 is in 10th, 2 laps behind your race leaders here tonight, Drew. It's just been so impressive what Himmelman and JT Poole have been able to put on here tonight.
Yeah, a pretty incredible performance by the 8 and the 26, with the 49 being the 4th place truck on the same straightaway as Drew Himmelman. The 49 the last time by a 31.8, a 31.6 for our race leader. So we very well could finish with only the top 3 being on the lead lap, which is pretty incredible. An exceptional performance, not just by Drew Himmelman, but by JT Poole as well, who until that contact with the outside wall was well on his way to a really, really good result, very likely a race win. I really just don't see any way that 26 is able to get it now. The right front is fairly crinkled on that machine, and sometimes that means nothing in iRacing, and sometimes there's a lot more damage than what appears to be, versus that 8 doesn't have a scratch on it. Drew Himmelman done a fantastic job keeping that purple Superman number 8 machine clean and up front, and just so consistent all night long. Almost a 3-second lead between he and JT Poole here on lap 165, under 1:20 to go. Closing in on our 4th position. Mitchell Adams, 3 trucks ahead of that number 8. There we go. That Hot Wheels machine in front of that Chartreuse number 77. What a performance thus far, because certainly it is not over, that Drew Himmelman has put on tonight, considering I don't think either one of us was really looking at that number 8 as a guy to watch out for coming in to the race here tonight.
Yeah, just been really, really impressive. You mentioned the fact that the number 8 has been able to keep his truck clean. That's been definitely one of the keys to the race here tonight. I mean, JT Poole in the number 26 truck, ever since that contact with the outside wall, that 26 has just been going backwards. I mean, we talk about the Darlington stripe. Yes, that seems to happen to pretty much everyone here. But the way Himmelman has been able to keep that truck clean, he's been like Superman. That truck's been like Superman here tonight, especially on the long green flag runs. I mean, we saw what happened to Ben Isenga earlier in the race when he got a little bit of contact with the outside wall. I mean, JT in the 26 truck had a very clean race truck until that contact with the wall about now probably about 15-20 laps ago. As they're clicking these things off really quick, we're down to just 16 laps to go here in tonight's National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series Throwback event. I've said that a couple of times here, folks. But Himmelman, last time by, was a little bit slower than JT Poole, but definitely has been just pulling away. Now up, like I said, to 5 seconds over the number 26 machine. There's JT, stuck in some pretty heavy traffic as well. And then there's James Arello, who also has a clean race truck, just is quite a ways back from your race leader as we have just 15 laps to go.
Yeah, 14 to go this next time by. Will Drew Himmelman have? Can he close Mitchell Adams? Kind of is the biggest question we have at this point. That number 49 falling into the grasp of that number 8 truck. And Drew Himmelman, these last few laps this last run rather, has really put an exceptional performance onto the pavement here tonight. But folks, there's 14 laps to go here at Darlington, and it can seem like victory is within the grasp of Drew Himmelman, but there's still a lot of racing left to go. And like we saw in that last green flag pit stop sequence, just because victory lane is in sight doesn't mean this race is over.
That's true. I mean, you can always get a caution flag. And remember last week at Richmond when we had a couple of those Beer Street Journal last calls. I mean, we could have something similar here. All it takes is a caution flag and things not going your way. And your race can be turned on its head very, very quickly. So it's not over yet, folks. So don't tune away here on 3Y TV. Speaking of the chat here tonight, we really appreciate everyone here joining us as we watch the number 2 11th place driver of Justin White work his way around the racetrack. He's currently, folks back at home, he's almost 3 laps down. Can you believe that? In the 11th position. That has just been the torrid pace that Himmelman and Poole have put on here tonight. Jason Shue on pit road right now. Stay tuned sports. Saying, Tana, or I guess he's reacting to Tana saying, stop talking about Andrew. You'll cause him to wreck. Yeah, the commentator's curse is strong here on 3Y TV. That is for sure. But really, I think Himmelman has nothing to be too concerned with here unless a caution flag does indeed fly. You could see the gap back to the number 26 machine of JT Poole. Back there, now 7 seconds behind here, Drew. I mean, the gap that Himmelman has put on JT Poole over these last, 15, 20 laps is just incredible. That gap that is ballooned. We'll see exactly how that kind of has grown here. I mean, it's just immense from being just. You can see right there when JT Poole lost the lead. It was when Himmelman was on the left-hand side of the chart back there about 20 laps ago. And now it's 7 seconds. I mean, it is extremely impressive that Himmelman really turning on the jets here and pulling away.
Yeah, I mean, just a great performance by Drew Himmelman here with 9 to go. I really thought that 26 was in a really strong position coming out of this final pit stop sequence. That has obviously turned out not to be the case. As I mean, at this point, Himmelman just needs to not see a caution and to just drive fairly conservative. He could lose half a second a lap at this point and still come in comfortably with the race victory. It's just making sure you keep her clean and you do what needs to be done, and that stuff doesn't happen. That guys behind you don't cause problems. As I think that's what we are going to see here is, or what we saw there was the 6 truck causing a little bit of drama. And now not a lot of comfort dealing with some guys that didn't quite nail pit strategy right here with that number 11 truck coming off the pit road with fresh tires, getting by that number 8. And Peter, when you're the race leader, it's not very comfortable getting passed by those lap trucks. You sometimes don't even think to look about that when you're the race leader.
I mean, that's true. You got to be mindful of those trucks around you. We saw Doug Milliner, the number 8 machine, and oh no, the 17 machine. Oh my goodness, the number 17 has been flung up into the air, and we're still green. Can you believe this? He's off the racetrack, but Tristan Maher, Ripper Rooney, Kyle Lewis in the number 18 machine has also crashed. Let's bring up the replay here. We'll see what happened to Tristan Maher first. Well, this is going to be a fun one for the gyro cam. We're on board with him right here. Going to the top side of Kyle Lewis. Lewis slides up the racetrack. Lewis comes down. You see Doug Milliner right in front of him and just gets launched into the inside wall, goes upside down, up onto his lid. And then Kyle Lewis in the number 18 truck, he spins it out on entry into turn number 3, but no caution flag. For that, we stay green, much to JT Poole and James Lorello's chagrin. Andrew Himmelman now just about 4 laps away from walking away with the checkered flag.
Yes, JT Poole closing in. Certainly not race changing, but Peter, you mentioned it was around 7 seconds, and now it's under 4 for Drew Himmelman. So not worrying, but I mean, when you're the race leader, you don't, and you have these few laps left. You're looking at your delta between you and second place, and when you see it cut down, like you saw between the 8 and yourself, or between the 26 and yourself, it's not necessarily comforting. But I think we're seeing this 8 pick it up just a little bit. These last lap and a half or so.
Oh, is JT Poole out of fuel? James Dorello just made the pass for the second position. JT Poole might have run it dry here with 3 laps to go. Now the question is going to be, Andrew Himmelman. Does Himmelman have enough fuel here, Drew? Poole just creeping around the racetrack. He's going to stay out there on the track. JT Poole pitted on lap number 139. We know Himmelman has about 2 laps extra fuel than JT, but JT here in significant conserve mode, trying to make it to the end of the race. He's going so slow here, Drew. Surely he is going to run out of fuel. 135 miles an hour. That is nuts slow. Meanwhile, Andrew Himmelman joining the last lap, or reaching the last lap. White flag is in the air just one more time around for driver the number 88 machine. Does he have enough fuel? Surely if JT Poole can make it around going 130 miles an hour or so, Himmelman has 2 extra laps of fuel. Here he is down the backstretch, Drew. All things looking good for driver the number 8 machine going into turn number 3.
Yeah, I think at this point, the number 8 could just pull the clutch in and let that thing coast to victory lane. Drew Himmelman will win the Brookstone Animal Hospital Throwback race here at Darlington Speedway. A great drive by the number 8 Superman DuPont Jeff Gordon Throwback machine. And Drew Himmelman will claim his second victory of the season and arguably his most dominant performance here of the 2021 season. You there, Pete? I can't hear you.
I am indeed here. Sorry about that. But yeah, Andrew Himmelman in the number 8 machine, picking up the win. You see Jeff Price there, 14, giving him a little bit of a congratulatory bump. But yeah, like you said, Drew, probably the most dominant performance of the season, at least between Himmelman and JT Poole. But Himmelman might have had to save a little bit of fuel as well there right at the end. Lorello closed into about 8 seconds from your race lead. That gap at one point was about 17 seconds. So, but Himmelman having enough fuel to get the job done here, picking up, like you said, Drew, the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Throwback Race, brought to you by our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital, and getting lost in the smoke somewhere down there's the number 24 truck of Andrew Himmelman, Drew.
What an exceptional performance this 8 has put together tonight. Qualified 7th position. Didn't have a lot of pace through the entire first stage, but in these last 120 laps or so, I don't think that there certainly was not a single truck that could put a performance in as completely as that number 8 truck was able to do. Fuel mileage, tires, Drew Himmelman nailed the race tonight.
That is 100% true. I agree with that in all accords. Now we're going to see if we can dial up tonight's top 3 finishers and see if we can pick them up, starting with driver of the number 26 machine of JT Poole, who right there at the end of the race, we're just getting word that we're only going to get to interview your top 2 finishers. Unfortunately, James Zarello has some matters to attend to. Let's see if we can get, however, tonight's third place finisher, JT Poole, up here into the 3Y TV booth. JT, you got a copy?
Sir.
Well, considering you took the Buttkicker challenge here tonight, you came up just a couple positions short, maybe a little bit short in the fuel tank as well there at the end of the race. Kind of walk us through your race here tonight at Darlington.
Yeah, I think it was just like every other Darlington race ever. It's just kind of hard to pass, and you really got to time your passes right. And we were able to find our way and cut through the field very early on. I think that first caution we were up to 3rd, and we were just able to kind of keep it up front there. And then that first stop, I pit too early, and that really that screwed me for the late run in that race. So just those last 40 laps was all just clutching in 3 and 4 and just hoping that I could have enough for the line. And when I hit the line, I was completely out of gas. So timed it perfectly. I still get that 3rd place, and I'm coming home with $65.
Yeah, it was definitely close for you here tonight, and definitely great to have another attempt at the Buttkicker Challenge. We'll see that again next week, but Darlington's one of those racetracks very tough to drive, and you definitely seem to excel at it here tonight. What is it about Darlington that kind of fits your driving style?
I just like being able to have a track where you got to get right up against the wall, except I think 2 times I got too close to the wall. So it's always fun. It's a very flowing track when it's like the same line every single time. So it's very satisfying and very fun to hit that same line lap after lap.
Absolutely. Well, next week, of course, we have an off week. It is 4th of July weekend here in the United States. I do apologize to our Canadian friends, a.k.a. Ben Izenga, the only Canadian, I think, in the field here tonight. But we have an off week. And then in 2 weeks from now, we go back to Twin Ring Motegi. We had a great race there last season here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. What are your thoughts about going back to Twin Ring Motegi?
Yeah, I had to miss last season because of some bad internet, but I'm glad to be able to finally race there this season. And if that race is anything if the race this upcoming 2 weeks is anything like it is last season, I think it's going to be a great show and a good race for everybody at home to watch and all of us drivers to race.
Absolutely. That is, of course, the Master Millwright 200 2 weeks from tonight. That will be July 9th on 3YT TV, 9 o'clock Eastern. Before we let you go, JT, any shout-outs?
Yes, sir. All the admins for putting this on. MaxGrafix Racing, my teammates, Doug Milliner, Ben Mashburn, Chris Starling, Andrew Hillman for winning the race. He had a really good run. We were practicing all week, just seeing the right lines. My dad for watching, all the viewers at home, you guys for putting on the broadcast. Too many people to thank. Stay Tuned Sports, all those guys.
All right. Well, JT, congratulations on coming home in third. Just a couple of possessions short here tonight of picking up that Buttkicker challenge. We'll see you again 2 weeks from now. All right. Let's see if we can dial up tonight's race winner, driver of the number 8 machine, Andrew Himmelman.
Drew Himmelman, Drew Eisman up here in the 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, man.
Well, Drew, from your fellow Drew, I got to say, I wasn't keeping my eye on you necessarily going into tonight's race. A decent practice time, a good qualifying effort. But how were you able to find such pace on these longer runs?
I don't know. I've been racing a lot here lately and really figuring out what to do, what not to do. We just let it roll early on and didn't really push the truck short run, maybe a couple times, but just really in the short run, we just tried to keep up. And then we knew we had a really good long run truck. So super happy to get another win. I feel like we've come close this season and time after time in this series. And it's great to close one out.
And you certainly were able to do that tonight. What do you think led you to be so successful on these long runs compared to JT and compared to Ben Izinga? I think your two principal competitors pace-wise.
I think it was more. I just took it easy. Not take it easy, but I really backed up the corner on entry in the first to run, and then later in the run, I was really able to get those runs out. And I mean, even on our tire, where usually with that setup, when I practiced it, it was the rear burning more, and the race runs my right rear and right front with the same tire percentage. So that really came into play, and I was happy we were finally able to have a good long run truck.
Well, you were able to win our dirt race at Bristol. You were able to win the race at Darlington, our throwback weekend presented by Brookstone Animal Hospital. We have an off weekend next week, but then we have Twin Ring, Motegi, Charlotte, and then the playoffs. How much momentum does the race this close to the playoffs give you?
Yeah, I think it gives momentum, but I think we look at that first race and we have Daytona. So no matter how much momentum you got, it's Daytona. Crazy crap happens there. So I don't know. I think we're good at Twin Ring. We were kind of good there last year. Charlotte is one of my more favorite tracks. So I think we have momentum in these last regular season races, but in the playoffs, it really just resets and back to square one.
Yeah, I mean, Daytona is a heck of a playoff starter for you guys. But, Drew, thanks for talking with us, and congratulations on your second victory of the 2021 Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you would like to give a shout-out to?
Yeah, huge shout out to Chris for getting this Stoneback paint done. In my opinion, super biased, but it was one of the better looking trucks out there. But huge shout out to my family for letting me race. Everybody who watched, you guys for broadcasting, the whole SimShots racing team, they really helped me out. Let's see, GTR, you can use GTR Sim for 10% off, Buttkicker and SimShots.
All right, and thanks for talking with us, and once again, congratulations.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our post-race interviews. I moved the wrong Drew out of the chat. Can you guys believe that back at home? I moved Drew Eisenman instead of Drew Himmelman. Anyway, we do have to give out, of course, our Biggest Mover of the Race Award brought to you by Taz Racing Customs. And unfortunately, 3 drivers are going to have to somehow slice that trophy, virtual trophy down the middle. I guess it's easier to do with a virtual trophy. But Doug Milliner, Vincent Valvano, and Garrett Gleason all picked up 10 positions on their race. Doug Milliner finishing 13th, started 23rd. Vinny Valvano finishing in 15th, started in 25th. Garrett Gleason started 26th and going to come home in 16th. So big shout out to those 3 drivers for being our Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race Award. Let's see if we can, however, bring up tonight's final race results here on the channel. Starting with your race winner, driver of the number 8 machine, Andrew Himmelman. James Morello going to come home in 2nd. JT Poole 3rd. Mitchell Adams in 4th. Chris Darling in 5th. Only 5 cars, or trucks rather, on the lead lap at the finish of tonight's event. Jeff Price, first truck, 1 lap down. Ben Izenga in 7th after leading the first 60 laps or so. Doug Neal in 8th. Ben Adams in 9th, and running at your top 10 there, Drew, Justin White, 2 laps down.
Jamar Dumas finishes the race P11, Steven Doziak P12, Doug Milliner in his return to that number 6 truck in P13, Kyle Lewis's solid result in 14th position. Tristan Maher, despite that fairly spectacular ending to his race, he finishes in a top 15 position. Garrett Gleason in 16th, Vincent Valvano in 17th, Jason Schuer in 18th, Robert Dudley in 19th, and Stan Hausman in the number 39 truck rounds at our top 20.
Colin Ullery going to come home in 21st, Ben Mashburn 22nd, Monty Glover 23rd, Tony Lucarelli 24th, Dalton Hayes finishing in 25th, Evan Gilbert 26th, Jason Freeman 27th, and Travis White 28th. And I think if there was one driver to pick up the heartbreak of the race award, I think it's Travis White. That number 23 machine sent spinning upside down on the front stretch very early in the race. Really couldn't even get his race going in the number 23 truck here tonight. Well, folks, we want to thank you for stopping by here on 3Wide TV, the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series. Make sure to join us 2 weeks from tonight, July 9th, for our race at Twin Ring Motegi here on 3Wide TV. Going to be a fun one. It was a great race last year. It'll be 200 miles, brought to you by Master Millwright. Great to have them sponsoring a race here in the National Sim Racing Association. If you need any mill work done up in the northeast portion of the United States, make sure you check out Master Millwright. Great metalworking group. And of course, a big shout out to Brookstone Animal Hospital for sponsoring the Throwback event here tonight. If you're located in the Atlanta, Georgia area, make sure you check them out for all of your animal hospital needs. As well as, of course, National Sim Racing Association sponsors as well. Of course, we got Buttkicker, Craig's Setup Shop, and of course, Stay Tuned Sports himself. Beer Street Journal. We did not have a Beer Street Journal last call here tonight. Bet Angles for bringing you the best bet angles that you can get. If you're into the betting scene, make sure you check out betangles.com. Among everyone else, SimShot's also a series partner. We, of course, here on 3Wide TV want to give a shout out to our friends over at SimTV for the camera angles that we bring you each and every week here on the channel. But for myself, Peter Short, Drew Eisenman, and everyone else in the 3Wide TV family, stay safe, and we shall see you in 2 weeks. See ya!